You're creating a stress overload, and then the body adapts. And with that adaptation, you're getting the benefit of more efficient nutrient delivery and waste removal. Exercise is something that we should be introducing into our lifestyle at this point. Some of you are already exercise enthusiasts or fitness, fitness minded. That's fantastic, but we can be doing it right or wrong, or in a way that's working against your health. And we just want to talk about that for a moment. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong, but just like eating carbohydrates, you might not be overeating. Your body just reached a point where it's overreacting to what you're eating. Well, same with our fitness pursuits. It could be that it's you're doing something reasonable, or that at one point in your life was a very good fit for you. Just might not be the case at this time. Keep in mind that that was my first career, was as an athletic trainer. I owned a gym for 20 years, and exercise physiology is a topic I spent a lot of time on. So let's get into exercise. You're going to want to start moving your body. This can be a baseline. If you're not doing anything at all, you're sedentary. Remember, your body's got to deliver nutrients to the tissues. It's for the health of the tissues, and exercise creates the demand so that the body works harder at delivering those nutrients. And then we also instigate the waste removal. So your body is always generating waste in the periphery all over your body, and that waste has to be carried out by the blood. So when you're exercising, it's putting a greater demand on that system, which has a lasting benefit from where you're not exercising, right? So you're creating a stress overload, and then the body adapts. And with that adaptation, you're getting the benefit of more efficient nutrient delivery and waste removal the rest of the week, even though you aren't exercising the entire week. So let's take a look at this, and I'm going to show you a graph right now so that we can get into the discussion of our fitness. On one side of our graph, we have intensity, and on the other side, we have duration or time, right? So this is going to be the amount of time you're exercising. This is going to be intensity, which is high up here, we're more intense, and then low down here on the graph, we are less intense. I'm just sitting right here, so I'm way down there, not very intense at all. So if we start walking, we're going to be climbing the intensity scale there. And at some point, if we started jogging or running, we're getting very intense. And on the pathway towards intensity, there is this switch in the body where the body changes how it's producing fuel. And that's a very important switch. This is called the anaerobic threshold. The anaerobic threshold is where your body can no longer keep up with the demand for fuel using oxygen, and so it switches to a non-oxygen production of fuel. That is what aerobic means. Aerobic means with oxygen, and then as you get intense, you become anaerobic, which is without oxygen. So down here, we are with oxygen, and then up here, we are without oxygen. And the telltale signs that you're making that switch when you're getting intense is maybe the talk test. Imagine you're walking fast and you could still talk to your friend. Well, if you're getting too intense, you can no longer talk because you're huffing and puffing. That is a good sign that you have crossed over the anaerobic threshold. And notice that if you had a greater level of fitness, that intensity level is going to be higher. You'll be able to train more intense without crossing over that threshold. And that's fine. That just comes with fitness. So as you're getting more healthy, that's going to happen. If you run up and down stairs all the time, you're creating that stress overload. Your body's going to adapt. And before you know it, if you're fast walking with your friend, it's like no big deal at all. You're carrying on a conversation like nothing. So that is one of the benefits of trying to get this anaerobic threshold to improve or go higher up, so that we could train more intensely while still being oxygen producing as far as the fuel production. And the reason why is because down here we're using fat. And I'm not talking about fat just for weight loss, although that is a very important concept for a lot of us, but think of just it's efficient. The body's using oxygen, it's producing fuel, it's using fat, it's using a little bit of sugar too, but it's using fat. And so it can go for a long time. The textbook definition for why somebody stops aerobic exercise is boredom. So somebody who's going to walk a marathon, 28 miles or whatever, if they are just going to walk it, right? So they're aerobic the entire time. It's going to be their joint pain or knee pain or a blister that will take them out more than it will be that they run out of energy. Unless they have a severe blood sugar issue, then they're craving food every few minutes. But they might be eating a little bit while they're going. They're still going to be able to go, and they still have to stop because they actually just get bored of it or tired of it or achy. When you are in the higher range and you're more intensity, you're anaerobic, then that person can hit the wall. This would be the athlete who's just pushing themselves, and then suddenly they're completely exhausted. They've burned through all their sugars that they've stored, and they can't make sugar fast enough internally, and the fat isn't going to help them because it's too slow, and so they crash. That's called hitting the wall. So on the upper range here, I may have just mentioned, but we are burning sugar. So sugar is fast-acting fuel. It's not good or bad. Even if you were on a zero carbohydrate diet, like a meat-only diet, if you ran up a hill pushing your body into intensity zones, then your body would make sugar. You will make sugar to get yourself up that hill because sugar is a fast-acting fuel. So here's where this comes into play. If we are training down in here, you're going for that hike or that fast walk. That's the orange line there. And you're trying to lose weight. The problem is that it's really boring and it takes a long time. You have to go low intensity, long duration. And notice we would want to get as close to that anaerobic threshold without actually going over it. So this is okay. This is not a great way to train. Better is if we combine that with some intervals, right? So now you're going to do an interval within your low intensity, long duration. So the interval would be short and sweet. This would be like you are doing some stairs. You're going for a fast walk, but then there's some stairs along the way, or there's a steep hill, and you walk up the hill and you're really huffing and puffing by the time you get up to the hill. But the interval of that intensity is no more than a couple minutes, right? And there could be multiple of these, and that's fine. Remember, during that time period, your body's switching to sugar, and it's going to require that switch. It's going to require the adrenal glands to get you there. And the adrenal glands are glands that we are typically protecting in most of our patients, especially middle-aged, because they're a production site for sex hormones. So we don't want to step on them too much. So these intervals are fine. They're short and sweet. We get the benefit of this spike of intensity, which will drive up that anaerobic threshold for future training. And it's good for heart health. It increases the VO2 max is what it's called, which is the stroke volume. Your heart gets more efficient, so it pumps more blood with each pump, right? That's why the athletes have a lower resting heart rate, because it's so efficient. So it's both the stroke volume of the heart plus the ability of the body to extract the oxygen at the cellular level. All of that improves. And so that's fantastic. That's why we do like the intervals. What we want to avoid strictly, and I'm going to make this red, is something where we're training really intense way up here for too long. This would be like your typical spin class where you're just going, all out. You're going all out, or mostly all out. There might be some intervals, but it's mostly up. And that's going to be fine for the younger people. They might even do that for a sports-specific training. Maybe they're trying to get ready for some bigger performance and they need to be training in those upper limits. That's fine. They're stepping on their adrenals, but it's not crashing their sex hormone system, and they bounce back because they're 25 years old. Okay, fine. Even then, they could get that wiped out feeling. If you get that wiped out feeling, that's not just depletion of fuels or sugars or blood sugars or fats. That is adrenal exhaustion. For the young person, they'll bounce back. For 35 years old and older, 35 could still be fine, but you're getting close where that's going to be something you want to watch out for and probably avoid. Sometimes CrossFit will hang out here too long. Sometimes CrossFit will do the intervals like in the orange, and that could be fine. But if they're pushing it for way too long, you got 45, half hour, 45 minutes, an hour of all intensity. You don't want to do that too often. Let's just put it at that, because that will deplete the adrenal glands to get there. And on top of that, you are in Sugarville, and we're trying to get your body used to being in Fatville. We want to be fat for efficiency. So this is counterproductive as far as what we're trying to accomplish on the Reset Food Plan. The next thing that we can do is if we're looking at, exercises like yoga or Pilates, these are, or actually even better would be weight training. These are going to be a challenge with stress overload that's creating adaptive responses in the muscle system, which is building the baseline metabolism. Fantastic. Getting muscle tone, burning extra calories. All of that is fantastic, but it's able to be done without staying in those high adrenal gland, high intensity zones. So these are all great practices: yoga, Pilates, weights, anything like that. Think of like for the average person, if you had some weights at home, you could just even do 2 body parts a day, challenge your muscles, and have the whole thing done in 10, 15 minutes. And then maybe for the cardiovascular part of it, you're doing a walk that might include a hill. That would be completely fine. And there's the range of motion group that we have where I'll be posting a lot of content. I intended to post all original content because our daughter is also a personal trainer, but trying to schedule and film and do all that has been a challenge. We might still do that, but until I do some original content, I am resharing stuff that I think is really good. So I'm curating content from other sources, and that's fine. We also want to look at a form of training that's called HIIT training, or high intensity interval training, right? This is also sometimes called Tabata training. So imagine this is going to be like your weights and some of your body weight exercises like push-ups and squats. It's exercises like that that are done back to back in rapid form. And so this is definitely intense. And so you're going to be doing those HIIT training is going to be up here, high intensity interval training. It's up in here. And why is that okay? Because typically those routines were 7 or 8 minutes. And in 7 or 8 minutes, you're getting some intensity, you're getting vascularly challenged, you're getting the muscular system challenged. It's fantastic. And so if you're keeping it short and sweet, going somewhere around 5 to 8 minutes, that's going to be the sweet spot. If you're getting pretty healthy and feeling better, maybe you can push it to 12. If you're going too long, so we're stopping here, but if you're going extended, and that's what the trend has happened, the HIIT training and the Tabata training became so popular that they started saying, why not make it 15 minutes? Why not make it 20 minutes? Well, now we're back to CrossFit, and this is too challenging. If you have somebody who's in their late 30s and they're kind of at the beginning of perimenopause, especially, and they do intense training, they do spin class, they do these long, intense training sessions, it'll trigger hot flashes. You got 2 weeks of training like this, all of a sudden it's hot flashes, low sex drive, vaginal dryness, etc. For the man, same kind of thing. It starts to tax them, and they'll notice it too. So this is the basics. What we want to do as you're starting off with your exercise is really you want to focus on some movement. If you're super sedentary, then just get outside and go for a walk. The goal is not an amount or a state of intensity or managing an outcome. The goal is routine. The goal is to make some sort of headway on building a new routine. If you just put it into the routine and it's on the map of your weekly routine, then give it some time and you can build intensity as you go, but now you're doing it. And that's the most important thing. So I'd rather have you Go for a 5-minute walk. If that's where you're at, you could just walk for 5 minutes, then do a 5-minute walk every day. And that becomes a success because you're actually doing it. So good luck. And also check out the range of motion group where you might get inspired and find some routines. Make sure you're looking at the bookmarking feature because you can save the routines that you like and experiment with them as you go.